Hello and welcome back to Rev Endurance Sports and another bike profile. Where are my Soma fans? So I love this brand, Soma, short for Soma Fabrications. And I think this is one of those really cool bikes, the double cross with a steel fork. I mean, this is it. This is the cool stuff right here. So double cross, so you could race it for cyclocross, or you could do like my customer. He just rides it. He's, I think, 72. I know he's over 70. And, so everyone gets a nickname at my home. And so this gentleman flatlined, and actually he called his friend who's, they're musicians, the two of them. And he called his friend and he said, I'm not feeling very well. He said the gentleman is, his friend was an ER doc. He says, well, I'll come over and see what's going on. And by the time he got there, my customer, Joe, had collapsed. And he heard the tumbling of stuff. So he runs into the house. And my friend Joe has had a heart failure. Apparently, it's different than a heart attack. So it's a distinct thing. It's called a heart failure. And he, his friend came over, started performing CPR. Apparently, broke a couple of ribs as he was doing it. Did not give up. EMS showed up. They took him to the hospital. He rode in the ambulance. And they wanted to call it. And he said, no, keep trying, with the paddles and all that stuff. And they finally got him back to life. So that was about 2-3 years ago. And I've known the gentleman for a little while, and he came into my store last week and he said, hey, you know what? I think I want to get back on the bike. I need to do something. And I said, all right. Let's take a look at your bike and see what we can do. So Joe's nickname is Joe Flatline, but wonderful gentleman. All right, so let's run through the spec of the bike. The very first thing you're going to see is, it's a double cross, so it's got the Canty style brake, and it has wonderful wheels. These are Mavic Open Pro. I mean, this is as classic as it gets. A silver Mavic Open Pro. So we can look at that. And he has a Tiagra 9-speed triple group set. So we're going to dive in now a little bit more. All right, so he's got some Avid shorties on here, and they've got good action. But when it came in, this cable was very corroded, so we had to replace that. There's a lot of surface corrosion on the bike, but that's okay. So it's a 9-speed, and because the shifter cables are not hidden in the handlebar, this thing shifts like a dream. So any bikes or any drivetrains that are out there that have the cables like this, and they're very easy to change, cables and housings. So if you need to change the cable and housing, you don't have to unwrap the bar tape. So the cable doesn't have to make the sharp bends. The housing doesn't have to make the sharp bends. It just very elegantly just comes out. So for some folks, oh my God, that looks so old. That looks so antique. That's so retro. But the shifting is just like butter. It's butter. It's 9-speed triple, and it just shifts amazing. The lever action, the lever push, and it's just so light. This is another one of those situations where the retro grouch is saying to you, not everything that's new is better. This stuff just shifts so smoothly. So all external, as you can see, it just runs along. Right, so if you're doing cyclocross, maybe you wouldn't want those cables down underneath the frame. They'll get all, muddy and all that stuff. But you know, that's okay for what this gentleman uses the bike for. Some of the problems he has is I had to replace this boss and this barrel adjuster because the cable housing was just seized in here. I just couldn't get it out. And so we had to replace that. So we replaced the rear cable, replaced the chain. The chain was very corroded. We cleaned the cassette, and that came up really nice. And as I mentioned, it's a triple. So you have just this huge range of gearing. And it's just really nice. So everyone's talking about one buy, and I get this massive cassette, and I have this, 500 gear range. But the thing is, a triple crankset gives you a whole lot more than that. I haven't done the math on this one, but a triple crankset gives you significant amount of range. So he's got a 32 back here, and then I'll look at the stamping on this and put it down below. But everything just shifts so wonderfully. Steel frame, so a Reynolds 631 steel frame. You can see that right there. And it's just a wonderful bike. Now, the other thing also is that you can put some racks and stuff on here. You can put fenders in here if you wanted to. So there's your boss there. And then down inside there. So my folks across the pond, they call those mud guards. So you can just throw some mud guards on here. And right now he's running 25 hard shells. So this tire rides really, really poorly. And I'm going to suggest that he rides something a little bit bigger. You can put at least a 32 in here without any problems at all. There's so much space. I mean, you can see my fingers. There's just so much space in the seat stays and also down in the chain stays. So you could easily fit a 32. If you're doing cyclocross, it was probably like a 33 with knobbies. So you can easily, I mean, look at the amount of space in the fork. I mean, I could literally put my whole hand inside that fork. So I'm going to suggest a much bigger tire once he wears these out. But anyone who rides a hard shell knows that these tires just have a very, very long life to them. So it takes forever to wear these tires out. But yeah, and then the other thing is, he was like, well, should I get a new saddle? And I said, well, you haven't ridden in about 3 years. So let's just get you going again. Let's just make sure that you can do it. Let's make sure that you are going to be consistently riding. And then we'll look at getting you a new saddle. I don't know if the Trans Am is still available. So this brings up a point that I've made many times before. And that is that if you find the saddle that works for you, buy 2 or 3 of them. That way, anytime that you want to rebuild a bike or you want to do, whatever, transfer saddles to other bikes, you can always have an extra one. And or maybe you travel, and so you don't touch anything that's, let's say, perfect on your bike fit. You just have a saddle that you travel with. So all you need is your saddle, your pedals, and your helmet, and off you go. And you can rent a bike anywhere and just throw that on there, and you're going to be comfortable. So yeah, we are going to deliver this bike back to the customer within the next hour or so. We'll look at some other touch-ups and things like, changing the brake cables, rear brake cable and stuff like that. But right now, the bike, we wanted to make it safe and operational. So the front brake, the cable was completely corroded, so we replaced that. The rear cable and housing, that was all gummed up and nothing was shifting properly. And the new chain, and then we cleaned, I clean the nipples because there was just a lot of corrosion on them. And excuse me, I didn't get it fully clean, but I did as good of a job as I could. The wheels, I was able to true them, so that was nice too. The Dior hubs, I mean, this is just a very solid build. This is the type of bike that will last a long time. I think he's already had this, I don't know, 20 years maybe. Okay, well, that is all for today. So if you're a Soma fan, drop a comment down below. If you're a Steel fan, drop a comment down below. If you have this exact bike or a similar year, drop a comment down below. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please like and subscribe. We'll see you up the road.